Hello and welcome to another edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Fox. I am doing the 20 by 20. Obviously, I had work obligations today. Literally just got home. I wanted to make sure I shot this video before the actual fight. Um, Chances are it may get there like while the fight's going on, but without further ado, here's a 20 by 20. All right, first, we'll start off with Conor Benn. Now, I did some assessments for the last fight, and basically, Conor Benn was most successful when he was able, excuse me, when he was able to utilize his lateral movement and get inside of Chris Eubank, and he was also able to effectively counter Chris Eubank's sometimes lazy jab with an overhand right. So, having said that, if Conor is able to utilize his jab like he did a few rounds in the first fight, and use his jab to shield himself, and then work the jab as a battering ram to be able to get inside, or if he effectively slips the jab, comes over with his right hand, and then effectively lands that way, he could be successful as well. There are several inside shots that Conor Benn can utilize. He does have a brutal inside hook and then uppercut combination. He also has brutal hook combinations that he likes to throw when he's on the inside. Those will be highly successful, especially against a guy who's actually having to cut weight to actually make the fight. Now, this particular fight, the weight cut was a lot easier because there was more of an advanced period for Chris Eubank's body to adjust. But at the same time, when you are draining yourself and losing weight for a fight and having to make weight, that does wear on the body. So why not you wear on the body as well? So that would be something that I would actually look for as far as Conor Benn being able to be successful against Chris Eubank. So again, just to review, it's important that Conor Benn utilizes his jab and leverage to try to get inside of Chris Eubank, and then viciously attack the body once inside. It's really that simple. And then, of course, as you break down the body, those arms lower a little bit, and then you have opportunities for head shots. So, and pause, or whatever the case may be with people. I don't know. Anyway, opportunities to throw punches to the head will arise in mid or later rounds with a guy, of course, that has put strain on his body, and then you're attacking that same body. So I would look for that to be a huge factor in this fight. If Conor Benn has changed any strategy up. Okay, so for Chris Eubank was most effective being able to keep Conor Benn at a distance, set up his own crisp straight right hand, and then just kind of use a series of checks and balances to keep him at bay. Chris Eubank also was able to use a well-timed, very fast left hook and catch Conor Benn coming in. He was also able to use an uppercut when Conor Benn was actually coming in as well. The more important thing was Chris Eubank Jr. was able to clinch and smother the attacks of Conor Benn as well. So I look for that particular strategy to be re-implemented. Now, if Conor Benn makes some adjustments to where he won't, to where he's not going to accept the clinch, or if he's, excuse me, or if he's able to use his jab more effectively, as I was mentioning before, then I think that it's important for Chris Eubank Jr. to still establish distance, especially especially in those first few rounds where the intensity is going to be at its highest with Conor Benn. So you still want to make sure that you keep him at distance, and you want to make sure that that jab is actually sharp and crisp, and then you're recovering from that particular jab. And what I mean by that is, most of the time, um, when someone learns to throw a jab, it's basically this right here, and it's your hand is already back by the time that the shot's off. So once again, you're just, and then the shot, and then your hand's already back here by the time the shot actually hits. Um, there are some occasions where Chris Eubank Jr. unfortunately sometimes will linger that jab out and then draw it back. If that happens again, um, Conor Benn is able to effectively slip and then come over with a right hand. Or there are several ways you can actually do it. You can actually slip the jab and then come through with a right hook. Or if you're feeling real good about your situation, you could slip the jab, step in, and then throw an uppercut. From either hand, to be honest. So those particular punch setups and things of that nature will be a huge factor, especially in this particular fight, because the fighters are more familiar with each other. In this one, I do actually look for the second one to be better than the first, even though the first actually was at a very high level as far as excitement went, and as far as the action went as well. So I definitely look for, again, these two fighters actually implement those strategies to try to achieve victory. All right. So who do I have for my winner? I don't think that it's going to be any surprise to anyone, but I think Chris Eubank Jr. still wins this particular fight. The reason that I think is more likely is obviously there's a height and reach advantage, and also Chris Eubank Jr. was able to implement his strategy better than Conor Benn was. So unless Conor Benn actually, unless Chris Eubank's body actually wilts or betrays him, or something freaky happens like that, then I see Chris Eubank Jr. actually keeping Conor Benn at a respectable distance, being able to execute the punches that he wants to do, that he wants to throw, and then he will also effectively clinch and frustrate Conor Benn. So that is why I actually have Chris Eubank winning this particular fight. All right. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Please feel free to leave comments. And until next time, guys.